Former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak is reportedly on life support and close to death after suffering a stroke in a Cairo prison. The news came as tens of thousands of people crowded into the capital's Tahrir Square to protest against the latest moves by the ruling military council, which now effectively controls Egypt. Kerry Brewster reports.
Last weekend, they voted for a new president. Today, Egyptians were told their former president was clinically dead. The 84-year-old was rushed to hospital from prison, where he was serving a life term for failing to stop the killing of protesters during last year's uprising. As he reportedly lay in a coma, small groups of supporters and opponents clashed outside the hospital. But across the capital, as word spread he had died, there was no outpouring of grief for the man who ruled Egypt for 3 decades.
He died in prison, humiliated, in a very bad situation. No leader wishes this kind of death. His death is a lesson.
His death will not make us sad or happy. He's had no peace since January. He died, and we all will die.
Reports that Hosni Mubarak is clinically dead have been categorically denied by the ruling military council. What's clear, though, is that 16 months after he was deposed, a new chapter of unrest and power struggles has begun. The country's dominant political group, the Muslim Brotherhood, is challenging the power of the generals, who earlier this week moved to give themselves overwhelming authority over the next president. 50,000 protesters massed in Tahrir Square, chanting slogans in support of the Brotherhood's candidate Mohamed and denouncing the general's power grab.
We demand the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces hand all its power to the elected president.
We will also be here on Friday to send them the message that even though our revolution is peaceful, there will be escalation if our demands are not met. We will be here until the Supreme Council of Armed Forces quits power.
The Supreme Council of Armed Forces, known as the SCAF, has announced it will keep legislative control beyond the handover to a civilian president. Amid the deepening uncertainty, international observers who monitored last week's elections expressed their concerns, including US Senator Jason Carter, grandson of former President Jimmy Carter.
This transition and the democratic nature of this transition is uncertain at this time. Since our observers went into the field, the parliament has been dissolved. There has been troubling announcements of new powers for the SCAF with respect to civil liberties, their ability to detain and try civilians. And then at the end of the election day, even as the votes were being counted, there was a new constitutional addendum that redefined the powers of the president.
Competing claims of victory are adding to the tensions. One day ahead of the official results, the Muslim Brotherhood is claiming victory for its candidate. But so too is rival candidate Ahmed Shafiq, a former Prime Minister under Hosni Mubarak, setting the stage for a divisive leadership fight. Kerry Brewster, Lateline.